Everyone, I'm Omar Guizani, and I'll be your moderator for this first panel. So thanks for being us for a new day of fruitful discussions. We yesterday had a lot of exchange of insights and ideas, and today we're going to start a new one with 4 panels. First, we're going to be talking about emerging technologies for sustainability, the one I'll be moderating. Then we're going to be talking about water, energy, and food nexus, followed by green building as a smart agriculture, and finally, media's role in MENA in shaping the climate change discourse. So I'm happy to present our first panel that will be discussing the emerging technologies for sustainability. We'll start by exploring how we can harness the power of AI for a sustainable tomorrow with Mrs. Besma Kraiem, followed by Mr. Abdelbacet Mhenni, who is going to demonstrate how we can design a sustainable tomorrow with the 2 tons simulation experience. And last but not least, we'll conclude with Dr. Houda Chihi, who will present the threats that can come from technologies in regards to climate. So without further ado, let us start with Mrs. Besma Kraiem. She's a senior executive with over 25 years of experience as an international experience in the technology sector and a record of delivering business growth through paper planning and successful execution. She combines a strong strategic and commercial mindset, a solid understanding of financial oversight and operational execution, consistently demonstrating leadership with a focus on building effective teams, fostering a culture of personal commitment and operational excellence. So as a non-executive director and advisory board member certified by Harvard Business School, she assists companies in navigating complex international markets and digital transformations, incorporating her deep understanding of AI and cybersecurity. So Besma holds the German and Tunisian nationality, and she speaks a lot of languages, so Arabic, English, German, Portuguese, French. So what you can say is that you can communicate with ease with her. So please, without saying more.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Omar. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to be having this presentation in English. Pleasure to be here. Thank you very much to TTU for the invitation. It's an honor to be part of the Tunisian delegation. We're going to start our conversation today about artificial intelligence. And before I start, actually, let me just move already. Voila, that's me. Before we start, can I ask you who here has a computer science engineering degree? Okay. Who's familiar with artificial intelligence? Okay. Who's familiar with ChatGPT? Okay, a few more hands. All right, so now let me ask you one thing. Who's using ChatGPT at least once a month? Okay. By the way, for the audience online, we're talking about a third of the room. Who's using it at least once every week? Okay, much fewer hands. Who's using it on a daily basis? Okay, now we're talking about 10, 15%. Okay, I'll be talking about AI and the intersection of AI and sustainability without trying not to go into too much technical details. Okay, now, by the way, all these images are generated by AI. Okay. I just take the credit for the prompt. Technology in general has been historically something that helped us with the environment, but also had a lot of disadvantages. So like it's a double-edged sword, whether we're talking about in terms of disadvantages, plastic, or renewable energy. We have the air conditioning. We have lots of examples where the technology has helped us tremendously, but also a lot of issues where we had some disadvantages, we had some drawbacks, and I think we're going to be talking a bit more later on. But let's focus today. I'm super optimistic. I'm going to focus on AI as actually a driver to help us with our journey in terms of climate change. So when we think about artificial intelligence, by the way, anyone familiar with LLMs? Large language models? Okay, fewer hands. When we think about artificial intelligence, think of it as a power machine, a super powerful machine that is capable of analyzing an enormous amount of data, data that is unstructured, unlabeled, So you just plug in an enormous amount of data, and this machine is going to be able to analyze it, to recognize patterns, to identify solutions. And this is how we are going to be able to use AI in the energy sector. I'm going to be mentioning a couple of examples. So for instance, it's going to, the AI predictive models is going to help us to understand and anticipate climate change. So the data, when we think about monitoring the air quality, predicting the forecast, the weather forecasts are about 99% more accurate with AI systems than with traditional systems. We will be able to optimize the use of our resources. What does that mean? Right now, or traditionally, when we're thinking about resources in supply chain, water, electricity, any type of resource, the way we manage it with traditional software is reflecting the way we think about it, the models that we have in our hand, which are relatively linear and relatively simple. We try to transport it into software solutions. With AI, we're going to be able to do that in a much, much more complex way and in a much more efficient way. Examples go through the use of water in agriculture, the use of transport. Talking about water, for example, and here we have some experts in the sustainability area. You're more familiar with it than myself. We know that 70% of the water is being used for agriculture, and about 30–40% of that is actually being lost. Okay, with AI being able to monitor, with IoT, Internet of Things, we'll be able to monitor the usage of water, and we'll be able to identify the leakages and correct those leakages. So there's a huge advantage or a huge opportunity here to use technology to help the water problem. In terms of drinkable water, I think we're talking about 30–40% of drinkable water is the so-called non-revenue water. Non-revenue means because it's lost, it's not being monetized by the water companies, and that's either because of leakages. The leakages are because of the infrastructure, very old infrastructure. In some countries, in the first world countries, even in the developed world, those infrastructures they date back to the Second World War. In the developing world, sometimes we're talking also about illegal use of water, theft. So all this can be monitored with the use of IoT, which is going to provide us massive amount of data in terms of where the water is being used, and we can analyze that, and we can in real time be able to identify the issue and solve it at the same time. Let's look at green innovation. I think we will be talking today about renewable energy at length. The cost of batteries, for example, because of technological innovation, has been reduced to more than 2/3 in the past 10 years. There's massive gains, if you like, in terms of the use of the smart grids, batteries, renewable energy, solar energy. All that is being capacitated or is being made available because of artificial intelligence. We will be also, I'm going to be talking about some examples with respect to the recycling. You will see later on an example of how AI with the IoT, with videos, is able to identify the different types of waste and be able to separate it and it's looking at the soil quality, trying to, based on analyzing the soil quality, the weather, real Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, the mic.
This
Sorry.
is the mic.
Sorry for that.
Hello, everyone. I start by thanking TTU members for this opportunity, and thank you all for your participation today. Today, I will share with you some insights about technology threats for climate change. In fact, in my presentation, I will speak about, it will be based in 3 angles. I start by the context. Next, I will discuss the paradox of innovation. It is technology and innovation, digitalization. It's at the same time facilitating our life with high quality of services, but at the same time, it has other disadvantages in our climate. In fact, by the end, I will share some initiatives in our country, in Tunisia. And I will end by final remarks. In fact, climate change depends almost is based in our behavior towards the planet. It depends on our way of living, way of life. It is the cause of carbon emission, deforestation, and pollution, and many other gases in the air, which leads to many risks such as disaster, food security, and human life threats. In fact, we have a great lesson, and we learned a lot from the lesson from the pandemic. As everything going remotely, we study in a remote way, we work remotely. Until now, we still using this type of life. So, behind this remote work, we consume a lot of electricity and a lot of energy. So, in this way, the question that we have here, can our planet survive this innovation and this digitalization? Another way is, as I said, is the big challenge is the innovation. It is in fact, with the rise of ChatGPT and machine learning and cryptocurrencies, it depends, the running of this algorithm needs more energy consumption. So, and this is, if we look in the curves of performance curves, we have the curve of energy efficiency going down. So here we need a transparency from all tech users and tech innovators toward the amount of carbon emission. So in other way, if we move to or migrate to 5G technology, we have both high data rates and low energy consumption. There is a trade-off. So in this way, we have convinced to move to 5G and after to 6G. And another benefit from technology is to use sensors and satellites to benefit to get the real data and use them as datasets for artificial intelligence algorithms and run them to predict disasters happening or occurrence or any threat of climate. And another technology, which is called digital twin, it is based or around with the connectivity of 6G now. And what is the topic of this technology is we use a virtual deployment of any innovative solution or technology solution. We do a lot of simulation, we do a lot of testing, and if we have energy consumption very low, so we deploy this innovative technology, and which is based also with artificial intelligence and machine learning. Here, we need transparency of data collection, and we need real data sets and from all these sensors, and we can use also some robots to help us to get the real data. And we encourage here technologies with a low carbon emission, and we encourage the use and the training about artificial intelligence and machine learning. Here we need green skills and we need upskilling to understand the artificial intelligence and machine learning. Here, we need also to understand not only about digitalization and technology, we need also green skills, and we need trainings starting from schools. And we encourage also the inclusion of gender. Here it's important that we include women in climate change issues, and we encourage them to join STEM fields and to understand more in climate change. Both here we need both to focus in innovative solution plus green technology. Here we have to get redirection of each innovative solution to be green. Here to turn it to be green action. And also, we need some policies and rules to set for every tech company about the amount of carbon emission. There is a threshold of carbon emission, and if there is any exceed, they have to pay some taxes. So here it is about global collaboration between different stakeholders, policymakers, academia, civil society, to overcome these threats. And the route to net zero here is to encourage electric vehicles. We need proactive action, which is with the help of artificial intelligence, machine learning. We need also to promote online activities such as e-commerce, exchange platforms, and I will share further some initiative from some vendors to be how they moved encouraging virtualization with the help of clouds. Here with the cloud, what is the purpose of clouds? Here we don't need to implement and deploy more servers. Just we have we deploy our data into clouds, sustainable clouds. But the problem is that these data centers consume more energy consumption. What we hear the folks say, we can use this wasted energy as a source for other devices. So it will be exploitation of green gases to be energy source for other gases. As I said, the example of a data center here, it is a redirection. And we need to digitalize for all supply chain from the source to the end users to overcome this challenge of high carbon emission. There is some initiatives toward green tech. There is some focus groups of ITU. We can subscribe in them. And there is also always a call for experts and collaborators. And from academia, there is always a meeting or discussion, because in such problem, we need a global conversation between different mindsets and brainstorming how to overcome these such problems. And there is a platform like initiative from World Bank, like to exchange data. And after that, we need also such skills of to understand this data and to analyze them. As I said here, this data is gained with the help of satellites and with sensors. So there is also some initiative from vendors such as Huawei, which is leading the world now towards innovative technology, 5G, and now they are working in 6G. They are turning and redirecting their data centers to be more green with zero carbon emission. So what is the status of climate change initiatives in Tunisia? There is a collaboration between the Tunisian government, United Nations, and the World Bank to optimize carbon emission, and there is a route towards Paris Agreement achievement. And there is another project in collaboration called the RIFAT, Renewable Energy for Agriculture and Rural Development in Tunisia. It is international collaboration toward carbon emission mitigation. There is also another project based in recycling. As I said, for example, to overcome the problem of energy consumption for data centers, we can use renewable and to overcome the problem of energy consumption. So the problem is the project is a recycling project, which is in charge of Federal Ministry of Economic Cooperation and Development. And we have also a tool to track and measure the carbon emission called the greenhouse gas abatement cost model. And there is some national policies and to follow and track the deforestation in some region in Tunisia. That's all for my talk of today. So we have seen the digitalization risks for climate change. We have seen the climate change as a threat. So there is a requirement for decarbonization. We have, so we talked about sustainable solution, sustainable cloud. It will be based on sustainable cloud. So we have talked about the power of digital twins, which is very important. It is based on virtualization of each innovative solution and doing some simulation and testing before deploying any innovative solution. And it will be, after testing, we can predict any issues and any disaster problems. So after that, if it is good, so we can use this solution. We also presented the green skills importance and gender inclusion and to overcome the problem of climate change crisis. Here we to go to the road to net zero. It's important to redirect technology for good. And by the end, I presented some initiatives of projects, some projects of deforestation and carbon emission mitigation in Tunisia. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Houda. So I think you joined pretty much what Besma was saying that, you know, we can't manage what we don't measure. And in the end, it looked quite optimistic, what you said. It didn't look like very fearful, at least not in my point of view. So the next speaker is an international change management specialist, Mr. Abdelbacet Mhenni, so spearheaded digital transformations across North Africa, Latin America, and Europe. About merging profitability with sustainable dynamic ally in the global push for betterment. And also he's quite young, so please welcome with me Abdelbacet, our young mind and passionate person. About sustainability. Please.
If you think so, raise your hands. For the people online, just send a comment, yes or no. All right.
Major one.
This had led to a significant change in the climate change, and like in the climate change, yeah. So, and the disasters have a is us, but guess what? What is 2 tons? Like 2 tons is, so like 2 tons is tons, and how can we understand to go forward? It's a platform which is really easy to use, and we are gamifying the whole concept, like to make it easier for people to do the adoption of this complex issue and make it easier for people to do an impact in our world. All right, let's kick it off. So As you can see here, it can be offline, a workshop, but we have also an online version. So our mission is simple: how we craft a low carbon future, meaning we will be the architect of time, designing a sustainable future. We are not reducing just numbers. We are building a future worth living in for us, for our children, and for the next generation. Isn't it exciting? So we'll skip this. So what is the climate change mitigation goal? I think all of you are professional here and have a very good insights about this. The Paris Agreement. Everyone agreeing, we will not increase, we will hold the increase of the global average 1 temperature. It's like agreeing not to let the party goes out of control. Meaning, but how does this relate to 2 tons? How does this relate to 2 tons? According to the IPCC, limiting our emission to 1.5 degrees, meaning reducing them to 2 tons per human by 2050, which the name 2 tons, which is our challenge. All right, I have another question for you. Let's play a game to make it more dynamic. Sort the countries in an ascending way by the carbon footprint. We have, by average person, USA, France, China, and India. Who knows?
USA.
USA, our famous
big beef eaters.
Our guy is USA. Then we have France, China. Average humans in 2010, based on the IPCC, India, and our objective, our dream, 2 tons in 2050. All right, so how to read the carbon footprint? How to decode all of this? You need to think of it as your environmental choose size, meaning, which is separated on many things. We have the transport, housing, food, goods, and services. Every one of us is doing all of this, and we need to be mindful about it. So the workshop design is simple. We have an introduction, game of 1 hour and 30, and then we have a debrief. This is how we do it. The debrief so that people will get with some insights, some actions in order to give a real life impact. Rules of the game. So as I said, the objective, you start with a screenshot of your carbon footprint, and then you have an objective to reach the 2 tons. Let's dive into 2050. All right, so in the game we have 8 rounds. We have individual rounds and we have collective rounds. The individual rounds, each one of us have choices every day. How do we live? And the collective one, we work on groups as a government. What choices can we take to minimize the carbon footprint? So let's take one example so that I can give you a practical example. For the individual choices, you have some cars choices that you can take. And then when you take it, you need to be mindful about hearts. Hearts, it's our capacity because we are humans. We cannot do anything and we cannot do everything. We need to be really impactful and be also mindful. After all, we cannot be doing anything and everything. So we have also the collective rounds. As I said, it's the same thing, but for the governments. But here we should just be mindful about the budget, which is really important also. So it's the equilibrium between being profitable, but at the same time being sustainable. Otherwise, it will not work. And as Monam said yesterday, we should put it as an investment because it brings a lot of value to the organization and for us. All right, so all of our data are accurate and dynamic, meaning that every new data that it comes, it will be absorbed by the system and it's really accurate. So here, our version for the online, you can do the workshop online. And this is really important because if you want to do it, meaning any one of us can do the workshop for their colleague, like put a Zoom, a Teams call, and then put this game. And this is a good idea to start building a team, you know? Now you can choose your cards and then you have the before and after of your like one carbon footprint. All right. So give you some examples of the cards like that you can have. As you know, like the animal carriers is between 7 and like 10 plants, meaning that it's a lot of emission from the agriculture. And like to cuisine the meat, it needs a lot of time. So these two are the most impactful two choices if you wanna minimize your carbon footprint when it comes to eating and kitchen. You can eat, like here is one example, eat meat and fish only twice a week, or all red meat replace it by white meat. You see it as simple, but it's really impactful. If every one of us do this once a week, it's really impactful. All right, I have a question for you since many of the audience are from the energy sector. What kind of action are a priority, do you think? Action of decarbonizing energy production or action reducing energy? I'm talking from the individual point of view.
Reducing.
Decarbonizing.
All right, we have reducing and decarbonizing. Actually, both of them are really important. Both of them are really important, but we know that the technology needs money and not everyone in the world have that. So I think the priority is to reduce the energy. And if you have the budget, then we go for the other way. But reducing energy is also really important and it has a lot of impact. Exactly. We'll let you read this. It's like a summary of the things that we think that are really important and with a big impact. Also, the news here that we built a platform where people can suggest actions if they can boost it with the data. We can create cards for them so that it's really adapted like to their company's environment and they can use their own cards, which is really important. Okay, I get to my conclusion. I know that like 2 tons, it's ambitious, but we are optimistic. It's like the climber. He wanna go up to the mountain, but he doesn't see the mountain. He doesn't see the summit. He doesn't even hesitate. He goes and he knows that he enjoys his journey because this is something that he believes in it or she believes in it. We have different ways. Of course, everyone can do the thing that is adapted to their style of life. But at the end, what we are doing now is like social dynamics, influence are very important. We talk to each other. We try to influence each other to go forward. We go united, optimistic, so that we can have a sustainable future all together. Thank you so much. And I think that we can go to a sustainable future all together. Let's be optimistic. Let's be united. Let's be sustainable. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Abdelbacet, absolutely. So we're going to have a small conversation with each panelist. I'm going to ask a question to each one of them and then give you a chance if you have taken notes as well. Well, you can also ask them a question or two maybe after mine. So maybe I will start with Besma. So, you know, according to your presentation, you have a lot to do with AI. We can harness a lot of things with AI. We can forecast climate change. We can forecast, we've seen all the projects you mentioned. So maybe can you tell us how applicable this can be in Tunisia? And, what would you recommend, as an implementation plan, maybe, for Tunisia to also harness the power of AI in regards to climate change?
Thank you. Obviously, I believe that everything and every project mentioned earlier is applicable in Tunisia and applicable everywhere. Now, where I think it's the important part is how can we need to bring the two teams together. We need to bring climate change experts with the tech experts. We need to bring energy people with the tech experts. We need to bring utility people with the tech experts. They know their field, we know our field. Now, we know how the technology works, but you need to have a subject matter expert who understands that particular subject, be it energy, be it water, be it agriculture, in any area. You need to bring the subject matter expert. They know what data they have, they know what are the issues, and then we can work together to solve it. This is what happened with biotech. You have biology experts meeting technology experts, and you created a new field called biotech. That's how you solve the issue. This is how you create fintech. Financial experts brought together with technology, and you got fintech. Now we're trying to talk about clean tech, green tech, whatever you want to call it, but it's basically the same thing. It's about the environmental experts with the technology experts. We know what the technology is capable of doing, and the subject matter experts, they know what their fields are, be it in the cimenterie in Tunisia, the SONED, the water company, the electricity company. There's so many companies that we have, be it private sector, public sector. I think the first thing they need to start looking is, what data do we have? You know, collecting data, digitalizing the company, digitalizing the infrastructure, digitalizing their system. Because you can only start working on AI or talking about AI once you have data available. So start by hiring a data scientist, start by hiring engineers. When you start these projects, most likely you don't even know what you're looking for. You don't even know where you're going to get. Start with a totally open mind. What data do we have? What issues do we have? And then we will figure out how to solve it. And that open mindset, bringing together the two teams, is extremely important to solve these issues. So to wrap it up, every company, if you don't have a data scientist right now, go hire one on Monday.
So basically we return to the fact that we have to measure in order to be able to improve.
You can't, you can't manage what you can't measure. You can't improve what you can't measure. You need to measure it, and you need to have it measured digitally. So,
and also collect in a disorganized way the data in the beginning. That's the purpose of big data, and then we get the insights out of it.
Exactly.
Thanks a lot for those insights, Besma. So maybe I'm going to ask a question to Houda. So you've talked about the threats of technologies. Again, I felt you were quite optimistic, about those threats anyway. But we are in optimistic Tunisia, so why not be optimistic? So what's the result of unchecked use and deployment of emerging tech? Can you tell me more about it?
Okay, thank you so much for this question. As I said, there is a paradox of innovation. So there is a price and the costs to pay behind this innovation and irresponsible use of innovation. It is a threat for all the ecosystem. It touches all sectors, whether it leads to disasters, food crisis, and we have many examples who suffer from this problem in many countries, and it leads to even job loss because we have agriculture problems. So it is a threat for tourism too. So it is a big problem that touches the whole ecosystem, and it is a threat even for our health and human beings.
So in the end, when there's one part that is touched, so everyone is going to be affected by it.
For this, I told you it is required. There is a global conversation and between all stakeholders, because it's the responsibility of everyone.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly. So it's a shared responsibility. Yeah, please, maybe you have.
Let me talk about some of the threats that some people might be aware of or heard about, which is a lot of the people talk about the massive energy consumption of AI systems. And I think it's the elephant in the room when we talk about artificial intelligence, and let's talk about it. Yes, data centers are consuming massive amount of energy. The processing power that's necessary for AI is massive. But think of it this way. Right now, we're still talking about generative AI. We're talking about we're talking about these massive machines. But in the future, we're going to have a subset of that where an AI tool implemented into the coffee machine, a small AI tool into your toaster. So these are they're not going to be very heavy on energy consumption. Right. Of course, what we start with today is a lot of energy because we're still analyzing all the data, and then we will create subset of that. So if you're talking about an AI tool for irrigation systems, is not going to be heavy. It's not going to be very energy heavy or consumption. It's because it's going to be a subset. We will pre-train it. We will develop it, pre-train it, and then once it's implemented, it's going to be very low, very efficient, and very straight to the point.
Specific AI.
So yes. So yeah, exactly. You go from the generative AI or from the general use to the specific use, and that's where the efficiencies are. So just wanted to get that off the table because I hear this a lot. Oh, but this is very expensive. Yes, expensive because we're still talking about a tool that is able to answer questions about healthcare and about energy and about education and about everything. Afterwards, we will have very specialized tools, and they will not be very energy.
So I think you kind of pinpoint where we are in terms of AI development, and basically you compared it to kind of, that's what I see in my mind, you know, the first computers that were the size of a room, and right now they are so small. So maybe later we can do, you know, better for sure. And what I liked in Abdelbacet, so to go to you, I liked what you said about building a world worth living. And I like your approach in making sustainability and profitability actually go hand in hand, because of course, if it's not profitable, people and companies don't have incentives. So maybe can you give me use cases you have in mind of, you know, where sustainability and profitability went hand in hand, or are going right now hand in hand in building this future worth living?
Yeah, very good question. I like the approach of Besma when she said you need to recruit like people that are expert in artificial intelligence. And I would add on that, we need also to recruit people that are really expert on the data engineering and cleaning the data. We cannot have good insights without the data engineering who understand the bottom of the thing, who understand, okay, we are this amount of data, but is it all important? Is it all important or no? Are we putting it in a place where it's like sustainable? Like yesterday, we have a panel where we will be like putting warehouses in Tunisia, in the Sahara. It's like sustainable. We are also decarbonizing even the data warehouses. We need to be mindful about the bottom, the data, and this is one of
of the slides you showed where the two columns graph for the countries. Then towards the right-hand side, we have the two columns. Right next to it is India, which is not that far. And it's a rhetoric, I know, it's against technology, but it's maybe something to be analyzed. I mean, India is a huge country, and their footprint is low. So the model that they are using is maybe not by default or created for it, but it's something that is maybe not linked to technology, but to sociology. And you need always to have a mix. It's not just technology. It's technology. So maybe they have
I think the case of India, perhaps. The case of India is because of the large population.
Yeah, I like it, like the sociology and the technology, like one part, and we see the technology as a booster. It's not the base. We accelerate things with the technology. But it's here not as a one.
So maybe we need to change the habits first, and then to extend these habits with technology and make it
That's true.
better at scale. For last question.
Just
Absolutely. So I think we have a last question.
Yes, okay. So the panel has spoken just about threats coming. It is against humans, and when we see, for example,
well, yes, we did not talk about this on purpose because we tried to focus on the use of AI with respect to energy, because we're at the COP conference, but there's a lot of discussion and a lot of debate going on about the ethical question related with artificial intelligence. Yes, there are issues related with whether we're going to get into a level of general artificial intelligence that will supersede the intelligence of the man, and what are the possible consequences. What I can tell you is I'm personally an optimist, and I know that we as a community are doing a lot in terms of regulation and policies to try to understand the implication and try to manage them and try to put the right policies in play. There's the European AI Act. There are a lot of discussion. In the US has its own. China has a different perspective. Obviously, the world is a little bit split in terms of what to do. You have one side, one extreme, letting the private industry going on the development and then figuring out afterwards how we deal with it. And then you have another extreme, which is saying, no, we're going to control everything because we're totally afraid. If you remember when ChatGPT was launched, Italy actually banned it.
Yeah.
After a few months, they realized it's not the solution. They opened it again. So instead, they are participating in the conversation of the European AI Act. So the debate is going on, the conversation is going in order to put policies, regulation in place to make sure that there is always a man in the loop, a man under control, to make sure that there is no total control from AI. So we're going to be figuring it out as we go. Okay, so that's the only reason why we focus on energy. But I would be happy to discuss that in more detail during the break. What I would like to just may I just add a few words?
Please.
Yeah, because we talked about what we can do in Tunisia, and I personally think that one really important step that we need to do in order to get into the use of technology is the digital transformation.
Yeah.
Digital transformation of everything and anything. If you don't have it digital, you're not going to be able to capitalize on the power of technology. And unfortunately, in Tunisia, I know I'm Tunisian, I've been following that a lot. I've been having some discussions with some of the public sector players, and we still have a lot in analog version. Now, that is a major hurdle for us to be able to use technology. And I hear the tech people complaining a lot about that. So we need to digitally transform. We need to have data scientists so that we don't miss the wave in terms of development and in terms of progress.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's completely understandable. We need to be able to collect the data in order to build technology. It's like wanting to, ride the Ferrari with no road. So that's not possible. And, but I understand what you're saying. Indeed, AI can be biased. We have to be careful. I mean, in energy, maybe the bias is not dangerous, but in other industries like weapons or something like that, it can be very dangerous indeed. So I think we have a last question in the audience. Please, Madam, go on. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's not a question, just a note. I think we talk a lot in the domain of artificial intelligence about the application of AI on energy use, and there has been like 90% of the conversation around that and how can AI plays a role into bringing efficiencies, but only 10% or 5% are talking about the application of AI into disclosure and reporting and data transparency when it comes to sustainability and climate change. Just for your information, a Tunisian team led obviously by me, but Sustainable Square. I'm Tunisian, the CTO is Tunisian, the backend developer is Tunisian, the head of customer experience is Tunisian. They developed the first software in the world that auto-drafts sustainability reports and ESG reports based on generative AI. That was a vision that started 2019 before even generative AI was a topic. And they started developing it from 2019. Now it's alive. It's been showcased at Joycase Impact and got a lot of momentum there. Now the software is alive. And not just auto-drafting sustainability reports, but we created the first chatbot in the world that becomes your colleague as an ESG and sustainability experts for you, trained by Tunisians.
That's great. You keep surprising us, Manam. You keep surprising us with all the innovations you are able to contribute to. So I think we're going to wrap up here. So we were able to see the opportunities we can have with harnessing the power of AI, with Besma and the threats as well. Again, not very threatening in my point of view. But I think that Shakri actually had made a more threatening point than you did, in terms of bias. Because I think you are optimistic in your mind, and so this is why you wanted to bring a solution instead of just bringing the problem. And we need to put in place the infrastructure for sure for Tunisia and also other countries, to be able to harness this power. And Abdelbacet was able to demonstrate how we can do it on a practical level with their workshop, and how to go from the 25 tons American tons. Maybe the average is about 8 to 9. It seems quite far, from the 2 tons that you are aiming for, but hopefully we will get there, and we need to stay optimistic. So thank you a lot for your contributions. And well, I'm going to leave the floor, I think, for the next panel. So please applaud with me at this panel. Thank you. Okay, everyone.